Hello guys and welcome to the Stardom Cast, the weekly audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom. We have a special bonus episode for you guys. Today I'm of course joined by Matt Turner, but perhaps more importantly, no disrespect Matt, we are joined by the goal getter herself, the former Jakara Jackson, Mara Sade. Mara, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. How are you?
Thank you for having me, guys. And you said my name correct, so I'm happy.
You have no idea how long I've been practicing that to make sure I didn't get it wrong on the podcast.
Listen, I'm happy, and I thank you because that's probably one of the things I just feel like you should get a person's name right?
Absolutely. It's a great way to start actually getting people's names right.
We're one for one. Well, obviously, we do a Japanese pro wrestling podcast, and a lot of times Rob and I will go back and forth, like, how do we enunciate this? How do we pronounce it? And it gets really tricky. And we're lucky enough we have fans that live in Japan that'll be like, no, say it like this. And it still takes us 6 months to get. So,
hey, at least you have somebody who's willing to help you and not let you, mess it all up and all that. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
We still do, though. I guess that's the charm of the podcast. I don't know.
Gotta live to learn.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Perhaps the most important thing before we start anything else, it's been obviously a hell of a month for you. How are you is the most important question we're probably going to ask on this podcast.
Thank you for asking. I'm actually, I feel extremely determined, extremely motivated. I'm healthy, I'm loved, so I'm happy to be here and I'm grateful.
Good, and that's really good to hear. Because obviously, I'm sure people are going to focus on the release, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But obviously, we want to focus on you and how you are, and sort of have a chat about everything from the past to the future and all the things you've got going on. I've seen on your Twitter profile that basically, you just don't seem to sleep. You seem to be doing all sorts of stuff. So lots of exciting things, which I can't wait to talk to you about. But I want to talk to you first about your own sort of personal journey into wrestling. How did this all come about? What were your sort of earliest memories of pro wrestling in general?
My earliest memories would probably have to be growing up. It was always me and my cousins. They'd call us the Three Amigos because we were always together. I just remember being dropped off at my uncle's house. Me and my cousins would be just being kids, little rugrats running around. Uncle would have WWE playing in the background. So being a kid, you would see the television and want to copy. So here we are jumping off the couches and using the cushions as like a mat and stuff like that.
What are some of your what wrestlers and sort of matches did you gravitate? Because we've all got our different favorites, we've all got people we gravitate towards, but who was that person that really stood out for you?
For me, it was Jacqueline. And I've told this once before, but I remember because we'd always go on family vacations. And one time I was being a little naughty because we went in the store and I wanted a toy and my mom wouldn't get me one. So I had a fit. So she took me to the car. I was, once I was in a mood, it was over. But turned around and she had a surprise for me. And it was a Jacqueline action figure. And I was like, what? And so I fell in love with this action figure. And for me, it was the fact that she looked like me and she was just beautiful in my opinion. She had the body and I just really I saw this toy and I cherished it. And years down the line, here I am. And it's kind of crazy how things pan out because Jacqueline's my ultimate favorite. So she was definitely somebody who stuck out to me. And then The Rock as well, of course.
Of course, always,
sure.
Yeah.
We know him.
We love him.
Did you ever get a chance to meet either The Rock or Jacqueline?
I definitely got to meet The Rock, and he's probably the one person that I would be starstruck about. I did the Titan Games, and I want to say...
yes.
Yes, I want to say I did it in 2020, because it was about pandemic time. But did that, and when he came out to like, give us a spiel about how the show was going to go down, I like I couldn't hold it back. And he was like, "You okay?" And I was like, "I'm fine." I was just like, "Are you pointing at me?" And I got to hug him too. And so I was just,
Oh, well, you're living the dream right there.
Top of the world.
Yeah, it doesn't get any better than that. Yeah, that's for sure. Wow, what a story to open up the show, buddy. That's talking about The Rock,
Absolutely.
So like up front, you're like, yeah, I'm fine, but inside you're like, I'm gonna explode. It's The Rock. Oh my goodness.
It's The Rock. Like, I could not hold it back. Like, that was the one person I've ever geeked out over.
But one day we're going to meet Jacqueline. Is that the aim?
So, actually, something else amazing happened. So get this. I lost this action figure years ago.
That was going to be my next question. If you still had the action figure.
Hold on, I got something for you. Lost that years ago. All of a sudden, I meet this friend, and he surprises me with another one, in which I cried because like this action figure meant so much to me. And same friend, it was during Stand and Deliver weekend in Vegas. He sends me a video of Jacqueline shouting me out. So she said my name and everything. And I'm just like what? And so she just gave me a really encouraging message. And like, it just filled my heart. Like, it was a whole full circle moment for me.
So you were part of this great match at Stand and Deliver, but would that be the standout moments of the weekend, do you think?
Most certainly. That was definitely high on my list. Yes.
Yeah.
When was there a certain point or a certain match that you saw that you're like, okay, now I need to get into the business? Like, was there a certain like big like light bulb go off? Like, I need to do this, like a match. Like I always say, for me, when I saw Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels WrestleMania 12, March 31st, 1996, I'll never forget it. I was like, ooh, I'm going to get into the pro wrestling business. Like, that was always my big light bulb. Was there a match or an indication or a promo or something that was kind of your big light bulb moment?
So a lot of people's stories do happen that way. For me, I've always known that like I want to entertain, and I don't feel like I knew what that was. And for me growing up as well, I was really on Total Divas. And so literally seeing Natty and Naomi on my television, I was like, of course it's reality television. So you see all these things going down and you don't realize like what they actually do. And so that made me look more into it. And it was kind of how me and my sister would bond and whatnot. So like, I feel like Total Divas is what like really made me later in life look into wrestling. But the way it came about was super interesting. I just believe that the universe is always working in mysterious ways. So
always.
It really is. And we say it all the time. It's just like, I'm in northeastern Pennsylvania, Rob's in England. So it's just like, how did this even come about? And it's just, the universe really, sometimes somebody's kind of kicking you, like, no, you need to go this way. It's just like, I think that's my sign. I need to follow that way. It really is wild how the universe works.
It is. So I'm not going to question anything. I'm just going to go with the flow, make waves, but go with the flow.
I like that.
Absolutely. I love that.
There's your new t-shirt. I'm just saying,
There you go. There you go.
Make waves and go with the flow. See that?
So obviously you started, well, I say you started, you went to the WWE tryout in 2021.
Correct.
What was sort of that final push for you to go to that tryout? Because obviously, you've said about Total Divas being an inspiration and Jacqueline and The Rock, but what was sort of that driving force behind going, right, I need to go to this tryout, I'm going to go for it?
For me, it was more to prove to myself that I'm capable. I've always been highly motivated, highly self-motivated. And so when the opportunity came about, I took it head on. Like, I don't ever want to sell myself short or like self-sabotage myself in any way. So when an opportunity as big as being signed to the WWE comes about, you're going to do it.
Absolutely.
So that's what I did.
Absolutely. And what was that entire sort of process like? I've heard stories from everyone from like Kevin Owens to brand new signees who've talked about that tryout system and how it can be a bit brutal in some ways.
brutal.
What was it like?
So I don't come from a wrestling background, so this was completely new to me. And again, I've always been athletic. And so I went to the tryout, of course, super excited. I didn't know what to expect. I did try to prepare myself in terms of cardio because they did say get your cardio up. So I did boxing for a minute because I believe preparation is always key to anything.
Yeah.
So I tried to prepare as much as I possibly could. Again, this was during pandemic time, so it was already just weird. So,
yeah,
everything was weird. But yeah, taking those first bumps, I had it was insane. But what ended up happening, if you want the tea,
absolutely, always.
I ended up getting a concussion the first day, but at the end of it all, craziness. But this is because my poor neck wasn't used to the, throwing myself into the ground, and it happens. Like you're doing this, you get whiplash. Like it just is what it is. But I completed my first day, and then the next day was promos, and then there was more training, more in-ring stuff after. So to be honest, after the first day, I was definitely beat up. I was like, I don't have a concussion. I've never had a concussion in my life. Next day, I show up and I killed the promo part because that's probably the funnest part to me, to be honest.
Yeah.
To be a character. So killed that. And then it was time for training again. I didn't have to do it, and I'm like, I'm never gonna make it if I can't complete the tryout. So I was just completely I was doing anything and everything I could. And it's crazy because I remember Zoe Stark was one of the talents that were there, guiding the whole tryout along. And I remember going up to her and I'm like, hey, what can I do to make myself stand out still or keep myself in the game? And she just said, be a team player, for real. So you know what I did? I was yelling and screaming for everybody. And what ended up happening was Triple H walked up to me, and again, that was a little not off-putting in a bad way, but I was just like, oh, Triple H.
Hello.
Great. But he told me, hey man, this happens. You're gonna be all right. So he was really reassuring, which I would say was a sign.
Definitely.
I ended up being the second person called to be signed that day. And
wow.
Yeah, literally blown away. So I guess my efforts really helped.
So you ended up with a concussion at the end of day one.
Yes.
Didn't do the training for day two. Obviously slayed the promo class, which I think, having heard you on NXT TV, I think we can sort of word that out. But then didn't do the training for the second day,
yes.
and still with the second called.
Yes.
That's quite an impressive resume.
That's the universe telling her this is her calling. Clearly,
exactly.
Clearly right there. Right there. But yeah, so you got the concussion on the end of day one. Like my boss at my very first job told me, if you're gonna get hurt at the end of your shift. So yeah.
That's exactly.
I've heard just how brutal those tryouts are with the cardio, and it's just an absolute next level. But obviously, you seem to did pretty well.
Thank you. And you got to think about it too. There was probably 80 people at that tryout, so there's a line, and you're just waiting for your shot. So you do have a time to get a little breather in, but it was intense for sure. They want to see who can hang, and let me tell you, I hung that first day.
You were determined.
Determined, yes.
How many people turn up to these tryouts then?
To be honest, I feel like mine was pretty big. I do think that I've heard the ones following weren't as huge. But I want to say anywhere from 80 to maybe 50 people.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a lot of people to sit through.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So obviously made into NXT, which was obviously incredible. What were some of your sort of standout moments? Because obviously you were part of Metaphor, who were fantastic, and I was gutted when you all went your own separate ways. Absolutely gutted. Obviously, your team with Lash was fantastic. You work in TNA, which I want to talk about a little bit later. But for you, what are some of those standout moments?
I would most certainly say the biggest standout moment for me was going to Saudi Arabia for Crown Jewel. Also, having our first match on SmackDown with Bianca and Jade. For me, those were huge because that's the goal. And for us to be able to get a taste and like do our thing and work with these amazing women, I feel like it brought out the best in me. So the best of us, me and Lash. So those, I'm never going to forget it. I've never been out of this country until I went to Saudi Arabia. Like, how is that?
quite the journey. It's not Canada or anything like that. You did it.
I would usually say, in America, the first place that you go to is either Canada or Mexico because you're either north or south. But yeah, you went a little bit ways away for your first big trip. And obviously that's huge. Wrestling on SmackDown nationwide network. I mean, I think they average 1.5 million people that watch that show. So you have over 1 million eyes on you on the big stage. And then obviously WWE's been crushing it. So you probably have anywhere between 14 to 17,000 people there watching you. That's a big difference from Full Sail, which again, the crowd in Full Sail, as you know, they're hot for everything. I mean, they really seem like they bring the energy, but you go from Full Sail to a giant arena there. That has to be a big change there for you.
Big change, but they do say that it's crazy, but like being in that atmosphere is way more comfortable just because there are so many people. And I feel like whenever you're in a smaller setting, you can see people, it's more intimate is what it is. So whenever there's just waves of people, you know what you're in for. It's just like, I don't know, it's a feel, and it's a crazy feel. It's something I can't describe, but it's amazing.
I don't want to. Sorry, Matt. I'll let
God,
Al.
I got a thought. Go ahead, sir.
Was there a moment, like obviously, there's never a moment where you go, "Oh, I've made it," but is there a moment where you've sort of looked around? Obviously, Saudi Arabia will probably be one that you're going to mention, but sort of when you look around and go, "Oh my God, this is my life now. Like this is what I'm doing." Has there been sort of what's the first sort of time where you look around and went, "Wow"?
To be honest, multiple times. That's how many crazy moments that I have experienced in my 3.5 years of being signed there. Like there were too many things I couldn't even put my finger on it. I'm a very self-aware person, and so I like being in the moment, and so I take moments to just stop, breathe, and identify like my senses around me, just so I can like really hone in on the moment. And I've had too many of them, because I'd say my very first live event, doing a coconut show, I was on top of the world because I was like, finally, I get to get in the ring and in front of people. It was the SmackDown moment. I teared up after the match, even though, you know what I'm saying? Like, considering it was 2 minutes, whatever, we still got to go out there and be on SmackDown. You know what I'm saying? I'd even say at Crown Jewel, when we finally got into the ring, and I'd even say Stand and Deliver, because like we really like went all out, and it just
really did. That gear was incredible.
Thank you. We had a lot of fun with that.
How was that early call time on Stand and Deliver?
Oh my god. Oh my gosh. When I tell you that trip went by in a flash, because we were just going, I couldn't tell you. It was insane. It was very early, very, very early.
Well, we were in Vegas. It's kind of our yearly Stardom Cast meetup. So we were in Vegas for all the festivities. Obviously, we had the indie shows, WrestleMania. Obviously, we went to the Stardom shows, WrestleCon and whatnot. We were kind of going back and forth whether we go to NXT or not. And then Rob was like, yeah, I think the show starts at like 9:30 in the morning. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that call time's got to be between 4 and 5 in the morning for the wrestlers.
Yes. And we were the first one, so it was completely just, ugh. It was a lot. I'm not gonna lie, but we made it happen.
You did.
Our feathers. We had to get those feathers, like the headdress and everything, sent to Vegas, and I'm thankful because they would have got destroyed on a plane.
Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely.
So, like I said, the universe was working for us because everything worked out completely perfectly.
It did. Like, the match was incredible. You both looked fantastic. And it was a great way to open the show as well. But yeah, like Matt said, there was definitely a feeling of these girls must be absolutely exhausted. Early call time, having to open the show. Good grief.
I mean, we were just hoping that the audience would be awake too, you know?
Oh, wrestling fans will be awake anytime. You could put a show on at 6:30 in the morning. Wrestling fans would love it.
They showed up and showed up. That's for sure.
They did.
Especially WrestleMania weekend, because they were all over, and they were the energy they brought. I mean, we went. I can't even tell you how many shows we went to, and they were a buzz for everything. We even said we went to a show at 11 o'clock at night, and it was our 4th show of the day, and me and Rob were dragging. We walked into that show, and again, it's a little venue, maybe 300 people, and people are going nuts for like a headlock, a drop toe hold. I mean, they were. I was like, and I'm like, all right, let's use this energy to keep us awake so we can get back to the hotel. But yeah, those wrestling fans, and you felt it. You were there first and foremost, right there, and in Las Vegas. I mean, the wrestling fans, they really brought the energy to WrestleMania weekend.
There's nothing like the wrestling fans, I'll tell you that. But they definitely showed up, and they're making noise for us as well. So I was very thankful for that. As long as we, went out there and showed out and gave the people a show, that's all that matters.
Absolutely. We talked obviously a little bit about NXT, and you mentioned Zoe Stark as well. Who else, like in those early days of NXT, who sort of was someone that sort of not necessarily took you by the hand, but someone that gave you advice and sort of gave you the pointers? Who was that go-to person in the early days?
Norman Smiley always has some wise words of wisdom, and I love chatting with him because he's so funny, but he also has so many good nuggets of information. And I think the biggest thing he would tell me was simple done well is the best, and it's what we should do. And when you think about it, imagine coming into this business not knowing much, you know what I'm saying? And it's just so much coming at you, whether it's people giving you advice or criticism or online, anything. Your mind's all over the place, and you start to just too many thoughts. And so he would just reassure me that simple done well is always the answer, and that even still, like you said, headlocks, if it's a good headlock, is going to make the people go crazy, and you don't have to be killing yourself out there to put on a good, entertaining storytelling match.
No, definitely not.
Always go for a good lockup, right, Rob? Always go for a good lockup. A good lockup. Start off a match. I always sit up right. All right, now we're in. We got a good lockup. We're ready to go. Ready to tell that story.
Now we're cooking. Obviously, Norman Smiley, incredible mind in the business. What was it like working with Shawn Michaels? Obviously, another big personality in the business, one of the biggest stars in the business. What was it like? Was that another starstruck moment, or?
It certainly was, because who can say that their boss was HBK? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, literally, it was amazing. And whatever Shawn says, you listen. Anytime he says something, you listen. So, it was an amazing time working under him as well.
Did you get a chance to work with Robbie Brookside or Sarah Amato by chance?
I love Robbie Brookside. I'm glad you got. I love picking his brain too. He's the one that probably made me tap into my aggression. So he's really good at bringing that side out of people. And then Sarah Amato, she was my latest coach. She's great too, and just the way that she's helped build the women's division in NXT, I'm so glad I got to work with her and learn from her.
Yeah, she's a genius and a joy to be around. I got to spend some time when she was in Ring of Honor. We were in Ring of Honor at the same time, and she was well ahead of the curve. And then once she got the call to go up and then became a coach, I was like, she will be perfect for what they're building in NXT.
She's a beast.
Yeah. I bet she can still kick ass. I'm pretty sure. I haven't seen her in a while, but I'm sure
I'm not trying to do nothing to get on Sarah's bad side, okay?
She's a sweetheart of a person as well, folks, just to
She's
let you know.
but I would never even try it. I wouldn't dare.
It's always the sweetest people, though, isn't it? That you're like, I probably wouldn't mess with them, though.
Like Haku. You always hear those stories about Haku. He's the nicest person in the world, but if you cross him...
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Way.
So how did the TNA stuff come about with Lash? Was that something that you and Lash pushed for, or was that something that basically you were approached and sort of pitched to you? How did that all come about?
So we were selected to go down to TNA, and to be honest, it was an exciting experience for me because, again, all I know is the PC. Like, all I know is that. And so for us to step out and go and like have freedom to do whatever, really, it was really cool, and I liked it. Like, it was one of those experiences where I felt it was needed, especially if you're just trying to grow, period. I think it's always the best way to jump in head first. And so that's kind of what it felt like. And it was awesome.
Yeah. Go on, Matt. Oh, I thought you were going to say something.
No,
Sorry, buddy.
Was there any talent in TNA that you didn't get a chance to work with that you would like to work with and maybe now have the opportunity to? Because I know some of those TNA wrestlers are able to do select independent shows. So now that opportunity is there.
Right, certainly. We definitely got to interact with Ash by Elegance, but like, and we were in the last match with them, the tag match, but like I kind of wanted to go head to head with them, which we didn't get to like that. So that would have been fun for me. I think Tasha Steele is cool. Like, she's badass. That would have been fun.
She is a badass.
Those are just a few names that I would just want to throw out because like they're amazing, and the locker room was so inviting. So any of those girls, I'd love to work.
I can't wait to talk to you about what's next, because there is so many different like places that I'd love to see you pop up, and TNA is definitely one of them if that's an option. We're obviously a Stardom-based podcast, and I feel like it'd be a missed opportunity to not ask you about what it's like working with the likes of. We'll start with EO and Kairi, as obviously you had quite a few tag team matches against them. What were they like to work with?
They were amazing. They're both super badass women and amazing wrestlers. So working with them was, like I said earlier, when you're working against the best, it brings out the best in you. And so to be able to hang and like just, I don't know, just be in the same ring as them was a treat, to be honest. And I would do it again.
Yeah, was it Allison who'd said that she'd worked with them and said that they were very, very easy to work with because they were so, they were not necessarily masters of their craft, but they'd been doing it so long and they sort of knew what to do and how to put things together.
Yeah, Allison said something along the lines of, as good as a wrestler EO is, she's even a better person. I'm like,
that was right. Yes.
I'm like, how that's even possible? And then she said she got to agent some of her matches, like a few like the house shows, said it wasn't much. And it was like, yeah, EO, you do the things that you do. And then, yeah, that's it. And I gave her the thumbs up. Like, how am I going to tell EO Shirai how to wrestle?
Right. That too, like they've been doing this for years. And so they know what they're doing. It was just a matter of, it was a very collaborative thing for sure. And I think it was probably one of the easiest matches to put together as well.
Well, that's something actually I wanted to ask, about sort of putting the matches together, especially when you've got talent who English isn't their first language. Is it more difficult to put those matches together, or is it a case of just feeling it in the ring?
You would assume so, but I believe that wrestling was the language basically that we were using. And also I've just heard stories probably from Norman and Robbie, but like back then they didn't talk. They didn't say nothing. They just got in there and worked. And so I think that's what a lot of it was, but also like we did our research, like we know what they do and we just had to put in our pieces. And again, it was a very easy collaborative matter.
Can I ask a question real quick, Rob? You ready?
Of course you can, buddy.
Who hits harder, EO or Kairi?
honestly, they're both really great workers. Like, I couldn't tell you.
Time limit draw.
Nothing stood out to me at all. Literally, I walked out that match just fine.
What about if
But
we threw Julia in there as well?
I can see why that question could be asked, but that just means they're doing their job amazing.
Absolutely.
That's true.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had a fantastic match with Julia and Stephanie Vaquer, actually, and that was it's one of my favorite matches actually from NXT in recent months. Definitely. Did you know you were like? Do you get that feel of this match is awesome? Whilst you're taking, like, obviously you get the feel from the crowd, but that was another match where you're like, yeah, this is great.
Yeah, you can just feel that too. Because I guess in wrestling, you don't always want to measure your value in like what people say. You just gotta, you gotta know yourself, and you gotta know, like, you gotta have a good reference point of just expectations. And I feel like that match definitely exceeded my expectations, in my opinion. I had fun. I thought it was badass. Like, we did our thing. And again, these are two women that are so amazing at what they do, and they've been doing this. So again, to go toe to toe with them was completely, like, it was a motivating thing, as well as just proving that we are capable and we are just as much worthy of being in this ring as, they are. So it was awesome. I keep saying awesome. It was definitely everything. I'm super optimistic. So I'm just always thinking of like the brighter side, and just,
You're a very positive person, which is what we promote all the time on the Stardom Cast, is positivity. You know what I mean? I mean, we live by the rule, like, can your life be better? Sure. It could also be a lot worse. Be grateful for what you have and be awesome, as you say. Be awesome all the time. Yeah. Be grateful for what you have.
Always. I don't believe it's wasted energy being negative, in my opinion. I'd rather be using my energy, which is currency, in my opinion. Currency, like time and energy, is something that should be valued, and I'm gonna use mine to the best of my ability.
100%. Our time is our most valuable asset. Yeah, time is our most valuable asset. So I'm the same way. I don't waste my energy or my time on anything negative. Obviously, with the wrestling universe the way that it is, with social media, there is a lot of negativity out there, and we just kind of, even with us, when somebody asks us or somebody doesn't like a podcast we kind of just, I don't have time for that. I'm going to focus on the positive things, like the better things. But yeah, we're totally with you on that one. We're totally with you.
It's noise. And it's always people who don't know a damn.
No, you're good.
No,
you're good. A damn thing. I am 100% with you on this one. I am 100. It's always somebody that, and again, you can have your opinion on anything. I'm with you because I'm very, very, very enthusiastic about this. It's more than likely 99%. It's somebody that's never even touched a pro wrestling ring before. So it's like, I understand your opinion, and wrestling's subjective. You can like what you like. We all have different favorite wrestlers and favorite matches, but it's like, if you're going to tell me how terrible I am at something that you have no desire to even come even close to what we get into, and I say this all the time, and I know Rob's going to laugh. I always quote the late, great Roddy Piper when he said, anybody that answers the bell, I have the ultimate respect for. Yeah. If you think about that, you're absolutely right. And I mean, what pro wrestlers have to do, just the travel alone is like absolutely insane. Then you have to be in an insane type of condition. You mentioned before training at the PC. I tell people all the time, there's nothing you can do in the gym that can prepare you for pro. You can run 10 miles. It's the up, down, the bumps. It's the hitting the ropes, getting the slams, slowing down, when to sell, when to pick things back up, the psychology, adding different things in. If the crowd's not buying something, go somewhere else. It's completely different. So yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm very, very enthusiastic about the people that want to criticize us. And again, you're right to your opinion, but at the same time, I'm like, try spending 10 minutes in my shoes, and then you tell me how great you are and how terrible I am. So
exactly.
Yes, I'm with you.
The words right out of my mouth.
I mean, as someone who has not got into the ring once, I've taken 2 chops from Matt in my entire life, and basically, I took a forearm as well, and I felt that for about a month afterwards. Then seeing you do a tope over the top rope or a somersault senton over the top rope and stand and deliver, I'm like, yeah, I can't really criticize anything to do with this business, can I really?
Yeah, I live for that stuff. Like, I get a little adrenaline rush, and I dig it. It's fun. If if you're gonna do it, go hard.
Absolutely.
I mean, safely, of course. Definitely trying to, you know, keep my body intact because it's also an asset. I got to make sure it's working properly to do my craft. But like you just said, this is an art. It's definitely an art, and even breathing is part of it. Like all of it.
Absolutely. I don't want to spend obviously too long focusing on the recent events of the last month, but had you got sort of any idea that that phone call might be coming? I know that you mentioned on your vlog that you were going on your way to your niece's birthday. I'm like, there's never a good time for that phone call to come, but good God, that might be the worst time for it to come. And obviously, you'd already worked Stand and Deliver. We've got listeners who took photos with you at WWE World. Was this something you expected, or was it sort of completely out of the blue?
Yeah, there's always different stories for everyone. And we all know that like releases come about ever so often. And I remember earlier on, like I had a feel like this was like years ago. You know, sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, you feel a little iffy. But this time, absolutely not. We were on a roll. Like we've been busy ever since Saudi Arabia. So then we got the TNA opportunity, and as soon as we landed, took a little nap, woke up, and we saw, you know, what the deal was. And it makes you just turn your head because you never know with anything. So absolutely not. I had no clue at all. And yes, it was the worst, the worst way to find out because it was supposed to be a happy moment, like a happy little, you know, Friday night. And again, I felt the feels in the moment when I needed to. I took care of myself. But the show must go on.
Absolutely. And I suppose where that's having that positive outlook is such a, well, for lack of a better phrase, a positive thing to have. Because it sounds like you've dealt with it like admirably. So, because again, horrible time to get it. What I'm interested in, obviously, the NXT locker room from social media and things like that, it seems to be a really close knit sort of group. And I've sort of put a question in here that I'm genuinely intrigued at what your answer is. So, if there was a zombie apocalypse, just basically, I'm going to try and put this to sort of make the other question go away.
Okay.
Which 4 wrestlers would you want by your side? And why do I feel like Tatum Paxley is number 1?
Paxley's my girl. That's why.
I feel like she'd be definitely in there.
She's in there for moral support.
Absolutely.
I love this question. I'm definitely gonna say Tatum. I'm definitely gonna say Lash because she's powerful. Why wouldn't I have her on my side?
Of course not yet.
My girl Nikita, good vibes always.
Yep.
So she'll keep us the energy high. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is the 4th person me?
The 4th person, you've got one more, to make it around 5, yeah.
Dang. I think I need somebody else who could like help protect us. I'm gonna have to go Zarya.
Oh, good shout. Yes, like, very, very good shout.
I think that's a great group.
Absolutely. When you've got Zarya and Lash Legend as your bodyguards, absolutely.
Zombie is weird.
Yeah, exactly. Taking the head off, right? Taking lariats, forearms, everywhere, right? Yeah. Rob, you always ask the good questions, buddy. You only get that on the Stardom Cast. You can do 20 other interviews this week. You're only going to get the zombie question from us.
I love it.
Obviously, there's quite a few wrestlers in NXT who've gone through Stardom. You know, obviously, Io, Kyrie, Julia, but then people like Alba Fire has been through there. Piper Niven's been through there. Zoe Stark has done a couple of dates with Stardom as well. Is that something you want to do working in Japan? You know, is Stardom a place that you would love to go and try your hand at?
I would love to work in Japan. And Stardom would be a dream, to be honest, just because, again, it's a very prestigious promotion, and amazing women have come from there. And I just want to sharpen my tools. I want to be the best. I do. Like, I'm not doing this for nothing. So I believe that if I was given the opportunity to do so, I would thrive and just grow and learn. And I respect the culture and how they do things there. And I just think that it would help me just grow as a performer and as a wrestler. And again, you just named a few people who are amazing to this day, who have gone through there. So it would be great.
I do, on a kind of personal note, like probably about 24 hours after all these releases happened, the two wrestlers I kept getting tagged in that should go to Stardom is Blair Davenport, now B. Priestley, former World of Stardom champion, and you'd say that said Mara. Matt, what do you think about Mara going to Stardom? And I was like, I never looked at it like that. I'm like, oh my God, I think she would be perfect there. Like, she would learn, again, the people that we mentioned before that have taught you the ropes of pro wrestling are the best of the best of the best. But then going to Stardom, learning that craft in that dojo, learning from the Hazukis, the Hanans, the Shuris. I mean, the list goes on and on. Starlight Kids, the Izumis. And those would be some great dream matches, like you versus Hanan, you versus Shuri, Azumi, Starlight Kid. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Is there a couple of people in Stardom that you're eyeing up that you would like to wrestle or even team with?
All of them.
That's a great answer.
All of them.
That's a great answer.
I think one person that stood out the most to me was Saya. She, like, her aura and her presentation, like, is just breathtaking to me. And I think that would be a lit match.
I could not agree more.
Yes. Yeah. Did you get it? Stardom actually just put it free on YouTube. Did you get a chance to see Saya Kamitani and Tam Nakano?
I did.
The aura, and again, obviously we do the Stardom podcast, and on these big shows we do a live review a handful of hours after the show happened. That's been my favorite match of the year, not just in Stardom but all of wrestling. They put it free on YouTube, and I put it all over my social medias, and I said, even if you have never seen Stardom, watch the entrances alone for Tam and Saya Kamitani in front of 7,500 people and tell me you're not hooked. Tell me you're not hooked. And Rob, you're going to like this. Yeah.
Like, I was blown aback by just the entire thing from start to finish. Like, so much passion, so much energy. It's a beautiful sight to see, and it's inspiring, to be honest.
I mean, the whole storyline with Saya and Tam, I know, again, from watching your vlog, one of the sort of not necessarily regrets, but something you wish you'd done in NXT was have a storyline that you could really sink your teeth into.
Yeah.
And that Saya and Tam storyline, the emotion and everything else, you can really see how it connected with the crowd. And,
down to the end.
That ending is beautiful. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah. The live tears at 6:30 in the morning after a 6-hour show, whenever that ended. And it's a 4-year story. They really, I mean, maybe even longer than that, but they really started hitting that stride back in 2021, and it ended 4 years later. It was just like, wow. And I always say, it's like, I'm a big comic book fan and a comic book movie fan. If you just watch Avengers Endgame, it's a great movie. But if you watch all the movies combined leading up to it, it's an absolute epic. And that's what Saya Kamitani and Tam Nakano were. But you're absolutely right. I mean, it's one thing to be great bell to bell. It's another thing to be great curtain to curtain. And from the moment that starts with Tam coming out, the long entranceway, the largest crowd in Stardom history, and then Saya Kamitani, and it was genius on her entrance when I literally, that's what I did on the live podcast.
Like,
Rob, that I was the Rock.
You went the full Rock, exactly. There we go, bringing the interview full circle back to the Rock.
But I thought the whole Saya Kamitani thing was when they played her entrance and it paused. I thought because I live in the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania, so a lot of times my internet will freeze. I thought my internet froze, but I was like, oh, they did it for dramatic effect. And you go back and watch it, and like, it's those little things that are just genius. And that's something you would expect from the billion-dollar company that is WWE. But when Stardom does, and on these big stages, and again, you obviously have a taste of that because of working with Shawn Michaels and the big, obviously the biggest company in the world, that if you were to implant that and take it over to Japan, especially in Stardom, I think it would be a ready-made fit. And I think, Rob, since we may or may not be the leaders of the Stardom universe and podcasting. I think we should do everything in our power to try to get her over to Japan, buddy.
Listen, that would make my dreams come true. But literally everything you just said, I can see the vision. And hopefully the universe is still working for me.
The fan base is already there. Even before I was like I said, it didn't cross my mind. It was just like when B got released, Blair Davenport, obviously, again, former World of Stardom champion, just a phenomenal run when she was the champion there. And then everybody was tagging me and said, what do you think about it? And I was like, I didn't even think about it. I took a step back. I was like, oh my God, that is absolutely perfect. So again, you already have the fan base that is clamoring for you to get over there. So yes, we would definitely like to see you over there really, really soon. The 5-star Grand Prix is coming up soon, Rob Goodwin. And we have some injuries. We have some exits. There's a lot of people that can fill that void. I think our fantastic guest would be a phenomenal addition to the biggest tournament of said summer, good sir. I'm just saying.
I agree with you more, Matt.
There you go, Stardom, if you're listening. But yeah, obviously the Saya and Tam match is phenomenal. Is there any other matches that you've sort of looked at from Stardom in recent months?
So many. I've definitely been like keeping up as much as I can, just because again, I believe in staying ready and researching what I'm getting myself into. Every single match that I've seen, these girls put on. I could not possibly pinpoint another, just because they all really, they go in and you can tell the passion and the hard work that they put in. And I want to taste of that.
Rob, I think my number one match, I'm just thinking of it, Mara and Soriano. I think that would be what a great way to introduce her. Like that would be like match one, like Anna Jay had her match one with Soriano.
Absolutely.
I think that would be a great way. Just the chemistry and the aura between the two, and then the bell rings and it gets better. We play fantasy booking all the time on the Stardom Cast. We may as well keep doing it here on our interview, buddy. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think she would absolutely crush that match. One thing that's really good is hopefully the fact that you're still going to continue wrestling. That's a fantastic, because I think you're a brilliant talent. And I think if you were to, give it up or stop doing it, I think it would be a waste because you are so talented. What else does the world have in store for them when you eventually release yourself along the world?
Well, I don't want to give too much of the tea because I like to pop out. I don't like to talk about it, but big things. This new chapter has really opened my eyes to the fact that there is a whole big world out there and so many opportunities, so much so that it's a little overwhelming. But I just know for me that good things are coming, and as long as I keep working, it's worked for me thus far. So
Absolutely.
I'm gonna keep on working, putting in that work, and I'm not gonna wait and see where life takes me. Like now I'm in charge, and I truly believe that my experience in NXT WWE has changed me in a good way, and so I feel more than prepared for this next chapter of my life. And wrestling, whether it's art, music, movies, I think the horizon is definitely bright for me.
Well, I mean, you mentioned on your vlog about acting. I've seen, obviously, pictures on your Twitter with you in a studio. Music, acting, and wrestling, are all these things possibilities? I mean, again, are you going to have time for things like sleep, for example, and things like that? Because it feels like you've got so many different avenues open to you.
I need sleep.
That is true. That is true.
When you're dead.
Sleep is overrated. Sleep is overrated.
No, it's important. It's very important. But you're right. I can't sit down. I have to be doing stuff, and it's just and as long as I'm taking care of myself and doing so, I'm very good at that too. Like time management, all of that. Rest is so important. Take care of my body. This life is a job, and I'm okay with that. It's probably the best job that I could have, to be honest.
We talked about how important time is, and clearly you take advantage of every second, minute, hour of the day to fill it. So that's always refreshing to see that you're putting so much into so many things. And again, the fact that you will be released, lack of a better word, to the world in a few weeks' time. We can't wait, because obviously you have the energy for it, you have the work ethic for it, and I always say you can't teach a good work ethic. You can't. You can have some people that get something right away, but then if they get bad at something, they kind of give up easily on it. But like, if you have a great work ethic, I tell people you can literally do anything you want in this world, and I can tell that is going to be you. So we are super excited to see what the summer brings for you. It might be your summer. It might be your official summer.
It has to be. There's no other way. we're not gonna say anything else. That's what it's gonna be.
Summer of Sade. It's gonna happen. That's your new shirt.
There's your another shirt. We just gave you 2 shirt ideas. There you go.
Sade. I like that. What was the first one?
Oh no, I can't even remember.
We're going with the flow, but we making waves.
There you go. That is genuinely a really good shirt. I feel like we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Allison Danger. Obviously, bit of a mutual friend in Allison Danger. What's your favorite story or moment from working with her?
I love Danger. She's been in my journey since my tryout.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
My favorite memories of her would have to her moments. I just love when she would come to the PC, and for some reason it's weird, but anytime that, like, you know, you're going through something and you're feeling low, or maybe you're all over the place, like, there she is. And she's so awesome. Like, we'd have little mini therapy sessions, and like, she's goofy, and like, if you're feeling low, she's gonna bring your energy back up. So yeah. She's just funny, and she always has some stories, especially about Steve, and I love him. I love him.
She does talk a lot about Steve, actually, doesn't she, on this podcast?
I ain't gonna say too much, but it's entertaining and it's great. And I know it's all love, but
absolutely, yeah. It all comes from a place of love, but it is genuinely really entertaining.
Yes. Definitely. Steve's one in a million. He's another great guy. Has she ever told you the Ricky Steamboat story, but crashing on him in the bathroom?
No, but she's told me another crazy story. So I'm like, is this the same one?
Next time you talk
crazy stories with Steve. I don't know if I've heard that one. I probably
next time you talk, I was literally there, because I remember, because Steamboat was working a program with Punk and Ring of Honor, and I forget you have to get it firsthand from her, because obviously nobody tells a story like Allison. Like, nobody tells.
Nobody.
It could have happened to me, but I'd rather have Allison tell it, because she tells a better story. But something along, and this is like 20 years ago. The
twists and turns in those stories are unreal.
Yeah, she's the best. She's the best. Not only that, but she'll take you on the long road. It's like that old story. It's just like, I just want to tell me what the time is. Don't tell me how to make the watch. Allison will tell you how to make the watch, but you will be entertained every second in said story. But again, you have to get the full story from her, but it's something, and she's told this story before on our podcast before, but it was something she went to go to the bathroom to change, and she accidentally walked in on Ricky Steamboat changing, and then like CM Punk like called her out in front of like the whole locker room that she was like trying to peep on Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, and then she started coining him Steamboat the Dreamboat. So next time you talk to her, just say, hey, can you tell me the Steamboat the Dreamboat story in Ring of Honor? And then prepare to be entertained, as you know you will, because Allison is she's the best. She's just the absolute best.
That sounds so on brand. That sounds like an Allison story. She's just great all over, like an all-around amazing human to be around and talk to. She was also amazing support after said events as well. So I really appreciate her.
Yeah, the world needs more Allison.
She's the one that actually set this up, and it was literally so fast, because she sent me a message and I was like, yeah, here's the email. So I texted Rob. I said, I just want to let you know what's happening. And again, it's pro wrestling, and we have things that fall through all the time. All the time. And we're like, wow, that was really easy. I said, it doesn't have to be that difficult. It really doesn't.
No, it doesn't. I'm all, like I said, I'm about flowing, going with the flow. Like, no, if there's too much resistance, it probably wasn't meant to be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a good
point. It's a good way of looking at it.
We've been bumping into a lot of potholes lately, Robin. Maybe she's right. Maybe this wasn't meant to be. And maybe we take that car, we move it from the potholes and go to the freshly paved road, buddy. Maybe that's what you might have to do. But Allison, if you are listening, hello, how are you? Come back on the show soon.
Shout out to Allison. Let me
Thanks for
get there.
thanks for setting
Absolute
this
boss.
up. Yeah, thanks for setting this up, Allison.
So, last couple of questions, Mara. Obviously, as you prepare yourself for the next chapter, what is, do you think, the one thing you've learned, whether it's from NXT or your tryout or even before then, that you are sort of going to be using as you go on this journey? What's the sort of one thing that you think that's going to be my motivator, that's going to be my help?
The biggest thing that I've taken from this whole experience,
Yeah.
So many lessons I've learned, so many, but the biggest one that stands out the most is probably keeping a, I think, positive outlook on a lot of things. Just keeping a positive mindset, making sure that your mental is intact no matter what, because this is just ups and downs and just twists and turns, the whole thing. Like I feel like you could ask anybody, but I think for me the biggest thing is keeping my mental state strong, because again, we already spoke about all these different factors that could get you lost in the sauce, and that's the last thing I want. And the second I'm not having fun anymore, I'm out. And that's with anything. So for me, it's just making sure that I water my support and water myself and my body, like all those things. Just taking care of me is the biggest lesson that I've learned from this. And it's very easy to lose yourself. Very much so. So I think that would be my biggest lesson.
Wow. Yeah, I genuinely couldn't have put that better myself. I don't actually know if we're going to be able to top that as an answer.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that was great.
What a way to end it. I mean, like, good grief. Matt, have you got any questions that you'd like to ask Mara before we let her go and enjoy the rest of her day?
Just last question: is there any one or two matches in your career that have stand out as like one of your favorites or two of your favorites?
Two of my favorite matches. I'd have to say it was Isla and Alba. I think we were like number one contenders for the championship. That was war. But that was a very memorable match for me. But again, we went hard, but that was enjoyable for me because again, it was proving to myself and proving to like me and my tag partner that we out here and we ain't nothing to play with. And I feel like we showed that. Another one would be, again, I'd have to say it's the Crown Jewel match, the tag match with all of the women, because I mean that's all you can ask for, really. Like, it was such a huge moment for us being from NXT to be in the ring with these women who have been in this business just killing it. I think those would be my two major matches that I'd highlight.
Awesome.
Couldn't agree more. Both great matches. And whatever life has next for you, Mara, I'm sure you're going to kill it. You have been absolute delight to interview one of the most positive people we've spoken to. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today about everything. And again, the very best, not that you need it in any way, but the best of luck in whatever you do next.
I appreciate you guys so much. It was a pleasure coming onto your podcast. You guys were a pleasure to even speak with. Again, shout out to Allison. Love her to death.
Big shout out.
I do hope that we could do this again later down the road and we can circle back and remember, this conversation and talk about the growth of between then and now.
We would 100% love that.
Absolutely. We'll do it, when you're in Japan wrestling for Stardom. I think that would be like a bookmark point, right? I think that would be, let's put that in the universe. We love to put things out in the universe. So either before she leaves to Japan, while she's in Japan, or after Japan, we will let's book it. Or all three, who knows? Absolutely. Right. Let's put it out there in the universe and get Mara over to Japan, especially Stardom again, because we mentioned a whole bunch of dream matches that are right there
It's
in
right
front for her summer. Again, we already coined her summer and 2 t-shirts, buddy. So I think we're all set.
You asked me, we're doing work already.
Mara, would you like to plug all of your socials and things like that before we go?
Yes. So my YouTube is It's Mara Sade. I believe my Twitter is also the same. It's Mara Sade. My Twitter is It's Mara Sade, and we just gonna put it out there because it's a new era. Okay, so yeah.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Go out, follow Mara Sade wherever you get your social media. Again, an absolute delight to have her on the podcast. If you haven't already subscribed to the podcast, please subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Check out the website, talkjoshi.com. We've also got Patreon, patreon.com/the Stardom Cast. You can find me on Twitter at RealRobGoodwin. Matt Turner, where can they find you? And we'll sign this off.
Folks, questions, comments, suggestions, anything you need from me, Matt Turner OF, on the Instagram, on the Twitter, the TikTok, the Blue Sky as well. If you want to shoot me an email, that's perfectly fine. The email address simply is thestardomcast22@gmail.com. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for a fantastic interview. We greatly appreciate your support. Can't do without you because, like I always say, it's just not my podcast. It's our podcast. When you all together, everybody's different.